Hey guys, it's Sam here and welcome back to this week's review where we review the Premier League and potentially some other leagues as well, the fixtures of the weekend, and we have a little bit of a chat about them. So without further ado, let's jump into it, and we're going to start in order this week because the first game of the weekend was Arsenal against Forest, Ange Postecoglou's first game in charge of Nottingham Forest, and it was a tricky one. A trip to Arsenal, a 3-0 defeat. I don't think even if Nuno was in charge, Forest would have won that. I think it was still lost. I don't think Forest have beaten Arsenal away since they came up. So it's always going to be tricky. So yeah, I have no... I don't think we should judge Ange on that game. I think the more important ones are coming for Ange Postecoglou, and that'll be his deciding factors. Can he do it at Forest? Can he deliver on what he said? And also, can Forest fans really get behind Ange? Because they're not best pleased with the appointment of Ange Postecoglou, but they weren't too convinced about Nuno either, and they ended up falling in love with Nuno. So all I'd say is give it time, give him a chance. If he wins a European trophy for Forest, I think he will, that they'll adore him just like they did with Nuno. But I really do think they have a good chance of winning silverware with Ange, because he's just done it with Tottenham. Yes, the league form was not great, but in the end, he focused so much on the Europa League. He pretty much prioritised the Europa League over the league. And you could see that in the fact that they were winning Europa League games, but not Premier League matches. And the squads were very different in both as well. So he clearly prioritised that. I don't think he'll be prioritising one over the other at the minute when he's just walked through the door. I think he will go for both right now to feel his squad. Plus, they won't have Amari Hutchinson in the Europa League because he was left out. Whether Ange would have done that, I don't know. But he is strictly going to be Premier League and Cup competition for at least until the knockout phases, if Forest can get there, which I do believe they will. And if, hearing the owner speak about that, they're not there to make up the numbers in the Europa League. They want to go and win it. You can say what you want about Marinakis, but he is a very ambitious owner. He wants to win. He always wants to go up. He doesn't want to go down. When he first came in, it was get them in the Premier League. When they were in the Premier League, it was, we're not here to make up the numbers. We're here to challenge. We want to be as high as possible. That happened, and it's just up for him. He doesn't see backwards. He only wants to progress forward, and right now that's winning a trophy. They've secured a European spot. Now it's about winning something, winning silverware. So you can say what you want about him, but he is ambitious, and I don't think he'll stop until silverware is reached. So that is the first game. There's really nothing to say really on the game. Unfortunately, I've been working a lot this weekend, so literally the only game I've seen this weekend properly is the Brentford-Chelsea game. Every other game, I haven't really got a clue. So, moving on, Bournemouth-Brighton. Bournemouth did get a win. Semenyo from the penalty spot, winning it in the 61st minute after Scott had put them in front. Mitoma equalised for Brighton just after the break. Looking at the stats, it's not surprising that Bournemouth won it. You know, they had the more chances. They just edged it in possession as well. So it's not a surprise that they did go on and win that game. And with that, Bournemouth are currently sitting in 4th with Brighton 13th. So it's not the best start for Brighton, but again, it's not the end of the world. Palace and Sunderland played out a 0-0 draw. I mean, I don't really think there's anything to say really. I mean, Palace absolutely dominated. You'd expect that when they're at home. But yeah, they couldn't find the breakthrough. Neither team could. And it ends in a 0-0 ball draw. As does Everton and Aston Villa. Harvey Elliott did make his Aston Villa debut away at Everton in the 71st minute coming off the bench. And even did the 30 to the Everton fans to signal how long it's been since they've won a trophy. It's very funny. I love that lad, and I really, really think he will smash it at Villa. So, yeah, you give him a chance, and he will absolutely deliver for Aston Villa. There's no doubt in my mind of that. Fulham edged Leeds United out in a 94th minute winner, which was an own goal. Unfortunate for Leeds, but yeah, Fulham go and win. Newcastle beat Wolves 1-0 as well. The new boy up front scored on his debut. So yeah, there's that. And then moving on into the later kickoffs, obviously the pressure continues to mount on Graham Potter after a 3-0 derby defeat to Tottenham at the London Stadium, where West Ham also had a man sent off. Yeah, it's not looking good. It really isn't for Graham Potter and for West Ham. They managed to somehow have a wonderful end to the Forest game and win 3-0. It was a dreadful collapse from Forest right at the end, but you give credit to West Ham, they kept going and they win the game. They couldn't find that same form moving into after the international break against Tottenham. Of course, it was always going to be very difficult. Tottenham have started very well under Thomas Frank, but when you go a man down as well, that's never going to help. And unfortunately, as I said, the pressure keeps mounting on Graham Potter. And if results keep happening like this, if they keep losing games, then I don't see how he can stay in the job much longer. I think West Ham are, again, a club that sees themselves as always being in the Premier League. So if there's fear that they could genuinely go down, their manager would not be there. The manager isn't staying. If you're not changing anything, if results aren't changing, if performances aren't really changing either, then there's no real way you can stay in a job. And Graham Potter is probably walking on some very, very thin ice right now. And if they keep losing, I would not be surprised if by even the end of September, start of October, he is gone. It depends really on how the owner really wants to go about things. But I think in everyone's case, that would be the more likely outcome. And then moving into the Brentford-Chelsea game, Chelsea thought they had won it, but then the ex-Liverpool player Fabio Carvalho, right at the end, in the 90th minute, grabbing a late equaliser. It's great. It's great. It's wonderful. You know, unfortunately, things had not been going well for Carvalho since his move to Brentford. He was kind of in the team then out, and then spent a long time out of it. But it looks like maybe he could find some new lease into his Brentford career under Keith Andrews, and that late equaliser definitely will be more motivation now for him to continue to deliver, and it will also be wonderful for Keith Andrews because he now realises that he definitely can rely on Carvalho if he needs to. So it's great for him, it's great for the manager, and of course it's great for the fans as well, seeing them score a late equaliser when you're probably thinking they've lost the game, and then bang, you've got the equaliser. Moving into yesterday's games, just the two, and obviously we start with the early kick-off in Liverpool. We get a very, very late winner, a penalty from Mo Salah to win the game in the, what was it, the 90 plus 5, it says here. I believe there was about 5 minutes of stoppage time, so we pretty much scored right at the end of stoppage time, and become the first club in Premier League history to either win our opening 4 games or win, I think it's win our opening 4 games literally in the last minutes of a game. Our wins have come in the 88th, the 90 plus 10, the 83rd, and the 90 plus 5. We are leaving it very, very late, and I don't like it. I really don't like it. Of course, it's wonderful mentality, you know, the whole thing of the way that the clubs always embody the never give up, you never give in, you keep going until that last whistle, because anything is possible and anything can happen. But I don't like it. I'd like us to just win comfortably. Can we win one game comfortably? Please, lads. I can't take it. My heart cannot take all this stress. We're 4 games in and I've had like 10 heart attacks already. I'm not happy. But yeah, we become, again, the only team with a 100% record. We are 12 from 12 now, back to the top after it was temporarily taken over by Arsenal when they obviously beat Forest. But yeah, 12 from 12 and 3 clear at the top of both, obviously, Arsenal, Tottenham and Bournemouth. So it's a wonderful, wonderful start to our defence of the league title, going 4 from 4. But I would really appreciate it if we could stop leaving it till the last minutes to win the games. Please. I beg. And then the last game of the weekend was, of course, the Manchester derby, where City smashed United by 3-0, and Ruben Amorim's misery continues. Man United's shitness continues, and everyone that isn't a Man United fan is absolutely loving it. Especially if you were like me, and even before me, growing up with Manchester United literally winning everything, it feels so good to see them shit. It feels so good to see them so far off everyone else and losing so many games, because we never got to see that when we were younger. It was always United dominating, it was always United winning, and it was just not a lot of fun unless you were a United fan. Now it's the complete opposite. It's a whole load of fun for everyone else except for Man United fans, and it's great. I love it. I hope it continues. As long may it continue, and it looks like it will, because Amorim won't change. Jim Ratcliffe doesn't look like he's ready to pull the trigger yet and fire him. So, I mean, the one thing that I will say in this is I'm not too sure how anyone connected with Man United can see, or at least can't see, the true reality here. And that is, Amorim's just simply not good enough. Like, you can say it might be harsh, but he really isn't. And there was a reason that when he was so heavily linked with the Liverpool job, we never actually went in for him. I don't even think he actually had an interview with Liverpool. And there's a reason for that. Liverpool only wanted Arne Slot. In the rumours, obviously, it's never just one manager. There's always a lot going on. But for actually in the Liverpool hierarchy, there was only one manager they wanted, and that was Arne Slot. And we only interviewed Arne Slot. We never interviewed anyone else, at least from what we're hearing from the inside anyway. But again, there's a reason for that. And it isn't possibly just the three at the back. It's just, I don't think he's good enough. I think it's too big. There are managers that do very well at smaller clubs that when they get the opportunity at a bigger club, they can't do it. It's too much. Roy Hodgson was one of them. He did really well with Fulham, gets the Liverpool job, and in 5-6 months later he's sacked because he wasn't good enough. It was too big of a job for him. Plus, the players he brought in were fucking dog shit. They were Fulham signings that he was signing for Liverpool. It doesn't make sense. You know, that's the kind of issue we had there. Brendan Rodgers again. He was one that did very well with Swansea. Came in, nearly won the league. Probably unfortunate not to. It was out of his hands really that we didn't win it. But, again, the following season, he doesn't follow it up. It doesn't go well. And then the first part of the season he got after that, just before Jurgen Klopp came in October, he was shit. He was still shit. He just couldn't do it. I feel that Amorim is in the same boat. He's not able to deliver for what United need. And there are multiple reasons for that, not just that he's not good enough. Again, he doesn't have the players that plays his system. He loves either a 3-back or a 5-back. You're playing Luke Shaw as a left centre-back, which he has never done. When he was at Southampton, and then when he moved to United, he was a left-back. He's always been a left full-back, not a left wing-back, a left full-back. So he can't play left centre-back, and he can't do wing-back. Yet you're going to play him either as the left centre-back or the left wing-back, in a position he's never played before. You've also got centre-backs in there that have never played a 3-back in their life. Lenny Yoro does not play a 3-back with France or when he was at Lille. Yet you're expecting him to do it there. At Man United. It does not make sense. Matthias de Ligt I don't believe played a 3-back anywhere in his career. And again, you're trying to make him do it there as well. Like, it's broken. The midfield, if you're playing a 3-back or a 5-back, naturally, especially if it's a 3, naturally with the way that they are playing, they've got 2 centre midfielders and then 2 kind of wide forwards. You're playing 2 central midfielders in the Premier League. You're going to need those 2 centre midfielders to have almost everything involving legs, involving strength, involving pace, have very good passing, and pretty much be able, well, have great vision as well. That's, you could probably stick that into passing. So passing and vision can be intertwined into one, really, but we'll keep it as 2. And then also you're going to need your midfielders to be able to create. That's at least 6 things that a Premier League midfielder needs to have if you're having 2. Which means it can be split. One man can have 3, the other man can have the other 3. So you've got a balance in the midfield. Unfortunately, neither midfielder has that. So let's go through the Manchester United midfielders. So they started with Bruno Fernandes and Ugarte as the 2 central midfielders. Bruno Fernandes, as we've pretty much found out, does a lot of his better work further forward as an attacking midfielder or as in the, you know, kind of the wide forwards. So you've taken him into a position where he naturally does not do well, especially in the Europa League final. We found that out when he moved Bruno Fernandes deeper. He wasn't able to nearly create as much for Man United, and that was a big part of the reason why they lost. Ugarte, simply, in my opinion, is not a good enough Premier League midfielder. You know, if he was playing for a team like, I don't know, a Newcastle, or a team that's battling for a Europa League spot or a Europa Conference League spot or a mid-table Premier League team, I would say you'd be a world-class midfielder in there. At Man United, he has been utterly shit. And you must understand why PSG were happy to sell him. They sell him, they go and win the Champions League. They sell Mbappe, they go and win the Champions League. Like, they were happy to let these players go in order for their team to actually get better. And that's a massive reason why they ended up winning the Champions League last season. They don't have Ugarte in midfield anymore. They realised he ain't it. He ain't the guy we thought he was. He's not good enough. Then you've got Kobbie Mainoo, who, I mean, literally didn't want to be there. He wanted to go on loan. United blocked that. And then he comes on in the 62nd minute. But again, he's young, and you can't throw all your eggs in one basket on there, because you can't do everything. And then you've got Casemiro, who is ageing. He wasn't a good enough Premier League midfielder 2 years ago. So now he's 2 years older, he's still not going to be good enough. He's going to be even worse. And yet, they still have him in the team. Yes, it's probably because he's on ridiculous amount of wages and no one's going to pay that anywhere else, so they can't get him off the books. Well, I mean, that's just stupid, isn't it? And then Mason Mount, who is out injured, it's not a surprise, he's always injured. So you can't rely on Mason Mount. He can't do everything either. So out of the midfielders, you've got one midfielder who's actually fairly decent in Bruno Fernandes, but doesn't do well in the central midfield role. How are you expecting to succeed when you do not have the players that can play your system? We get it, you love three at the back, but when you don't have the players that fit the system, you can't play the system, because it's not going to work. Why, when he was looking for centre-backs, did he not go to Sporting? Alright, Sporting might not have sold one of their defenders to their former manager, but at least go and get someone that knows a three at the back system, whether they played it with you, or go around the world to the other teams that play a three at the back formation and grab a centre back. Then grab a midfielder that has played in a three at the back or a five at the back formation. Because up front, that doesn't really matter. They're not too... A 3-back, 5-back, 4-back's not really going to change up front. That really doesn't matter. Most strikers don't really drop as deep or focus on the defensive work. But even then, it wouldn't matter anyway. They're there to score goals. A 3-back, 5-back, 4-back ain't going to change that. So, the only real area of issue in this formation is obviously in the midfield and the defenders. However, that is 7 of your players. 7 of your players out of the 11 that is on the pitch are your focal point in this formation. And all those 7 players don't have a fucking clue what their job is. They don't know what to do, because they've never played it before. And quite frankly, you can tell they don't like it. They don't like this system. They don't like the formation. The fans don't. There's fans that are obviously really trying to give Amorim the best here, because they're probably sick of chopping and changing managers. They're probably thinking, like, we're becoming Watford or we're becoming Chelsea under Abramovich, where you're just chopping and changing managers all the time and you're not getting, you're not getting time for the players to really gel together properly. Or you're not really giving time for the manager to embed his ideas in. But he's now nearly been there a year. And you're telling me in a year, or at least nearly a year, coming up to a year, you're telling me that there's no progress. They haven't gotten better. If anything, they're getting worse. You can win the odd game here or there, but losing to Grimsby would have been the most embarrassing moment of most Man United fans' lives. Think back to the Ferguson era. They very, very rarely lost to a team in the lower division. The only one I can think of right now is Leeds in the FA Cup, when I think Jermaine Beckford scored, and I think Leeds won 1-0 or something like that, but Jermaine Beckford I think scored, and Leeds won. That's the only one that comes to mind, because it was so rare. And because it was so rare, that one moment it happens sticks in your mind. Whereas since then, they've lost to lower league opposition quite a bit. Can I name them all? No, because it happens quite a bit. You forget. It's just, oh, they've been knocked out by a lower league team again. But, I mean, it's Grimsby. Like, they're what? Let's have a check. Grimsby are 5th in League 2 after 8 games. Man United are 14th in the Premier League after 4 games. You're playing a League 2 team that, quite frankly, are not the best League 2 team. And yet, especially that first half, it could have been any. Really, it could have been any score. Grimsby were so on top, and Man United only pushed it to penalties simply because Grimsby ran out of steam. The last 20-25 minutes, Grimsby had put everything into it for, what, the first 60-65 minutes. They'd ran out of steam. And Man United are a fit Premier League team. So of course they can keep going for 90 minutes at the level that they won. So that's the only reason United were actually able to score twice and take it to penalties. But then you still managed to lose on penalties. Like, that should have been your saving grace. You got to a shootout. You got it back. Ultimately, your saving grace is we now win it on penalties. But your manager can't even afford to look at the fucking shootout. There's no... Imagine Sir Alex Ferguson doing that. You can't. You can't imagine Ferguson hiding behind his staff in order to not watch a penalty shootout. He's there, literally. If he could, he'd be there on the halfway line with his fucking players. When a manager is on the touchline, he's supposed to envision strength. He's supposed to envision unity. He's supposed to... Fuck! Okay, I don't know when it ended, but as I was saying, Ruben, a manager is supposed to envision strength, is supposed to envision unity, is supposed to inspire not just the fans, but the players. When you see your manager hiding in the bench, behind his staff, that does not look good. That is the sign of a broken man, a broken manager, a broken team that has no inspiration, no unity, and no strength. Not one of the previous managers would have done that. Ole wouldn't. Mourinho wouldn't. Van Gaal wouldn't. David Moyes wouldn't. Sir Alex Ferguson wouldn't. The previous managers before Fergie wouldn't. He's the only Man United manager that would do it. And he's done it. He has taken Man United backwards. Man United finished in their lowest ever position in the Premier League under this manager. You got beat by Tottenham in a final. A European final. To give them their first European trophy. Under that manager. And now you've had another embarrassing Derby Day defeat, where it could have been more, but they look absolutely god-awful from what I was able to see of it, under that manager. I don't understand how anyone can look at that and think, yeah, there's still belief in that. He can turn it around. No, he can't. He can't turn shit. I don't... Honestly, yeah. Well, I'm going to end it here because, by the way, this video is going to go on way too long, and I've said after the first this week's review that I wanted to make them shorter. I've ended up making this a long one again. I do apologise for the ramble against a team that I don't even support and I fucking want to fail. But yeah, it just blows my mind because I still see people that are connected with United defending him, when if it was anyone else, if it was Mourinho or if it was anyone else, they would have absolutely hammered them by now for the shit that's gone on there. But for some reason, because Amarim's likeable, he gets away with it, and I don't know why. You've got to give the same... you have to give the same that you're going to give to someone that's maybe not as likeable to someone likeable if the results are even worse than the person that's not likeable. Anyway, that's this week's review done. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.